I was working at Juno. Basically, that was at the peak of the boom when the market was starting to dip. A lot of my friends from that office left, and Joel was talking to me. He said, I'm thinking about starting something up, and I said, oh, okay, sounds like a good idea, let's do it. And so that's how we started Fog Creek.
It's gotten to the point where I can pretty much keep myself busy all day long, merely telling people what to do as opposed to actually doing things. For the first time, it's gotten beyond the point where I can really be expected to have any time to sit and code for long stretches of time.
So the idea for selecting interns for Fog Creek is we want people who could certainly eventually come here to be full-time developers, or in the case of our marketing intern, a full-time marketing and sales person. And also someone who can jump directly into the job and start doing it and start writing code in the case of the programmers.
So I really love my summers at home outside of Boston. I love my friends. I love doing bonfires and having that whole type of experience. So at first I was like, I don't want to go to New York City, but I read the rest of the internship and I realized it was an amazing opportunity. I mean, he said something like there were 800 applicants, so I mean these guys are probably amazing programmers, and so it'll be interesting just to see what type of guys they are, what type of ideas they have, how they work together.
I'm really excited. It's very different from anything I've done before, and that's really good. I mean, New York City is like having a caffeine IV plugged into your arm all day long. Joel's had several entries on his blog, for example, about how he really values treating employees. He's had a lot of interesting stuff on his office design. It's well respected. People who work there are very intelligent. And it's in New York City, which means I'm going to have a lot of fun.
I loved it. I'm in the small school, and I've developed a lot of personal relationships with professors here. If I have trouble, they all know my name. I can just stop by anytime and get help with that stuff. There's really not a whole lot to do here, so we come up with our own fun, and that kind of stuff. Probably look like a shut-in in New York City, but I'm hoping to get out and do as much as I can.
Sorry, you should juggle for the camera. Okay, I'll stop doing words. I've known about Joel's blog, Joel Long Software, for a while, and I've read it regularly for like several years. When it came down to it, I actually had an offer from Microsoft and Fog Creek, but the Fog Creek one was just so much more exciting because Joel wanted to have these interns create their own project and do something from scratch that will be released to customers and like become a real product. While like Microsoft, I don't know if I'd have like actually been working on like shipping code and things like that. I just wasn't sure I'd have the same impact.
I love my computer 'cause he doesn't give me no grief. I love Macintosh users. Oh, I appreciate PCs. I see my movies when I want, hear my music anytime. See my best friend when she's on AOL. Please tell me it isn't true. Thought we had something so good. I really thought it could be you. Oh, there's no desktop in your room. Can you watch your movies anytime? Hear your music when you like. Meet your best friend when he's on AOL. I love my computer. Oh, 'cause he doesn't give me no grief.
The kickoff meeting for Project Aardvark. Sort of gather a little bit. So the basic idea of what Aardvark does, although you've probably gotten the idea roughly, is that it's a remote, it's a help your mom with her computer kind of product. Virtually every home user these days is behind a firewall that doesn't really allow them to be controlled remotely. And so that's what we're going to build, it something that fits this particular market niche and make it sort of a consumer grade, cheap product that the average college kid can use to help their average mom or dad with his or her computer problems as appropriate. And so the architecture... My original vision for Aardvark was to solve a very specific need, which was the need of tech support here at Fog Creek to help people install fog bugs. And when I actually mentioned this to a couple of the interns, I think 2 out of 4 of them told me, oh, I could have really used that to help my mom with her computer. The design is meant to be absolutely as simple as possible. So to the end user, this is the way it looks. We're calling this, our code name is Project Aardvark. The real name of the product probably won't be Aardvark. The helper says, all right, I'm gonna go to aardvark.com. The helper goes to aardvark.com and says, I wanna help my mom, for example. And they type in as little as possible. And so the victim and the helper both connect back up to the reflector automatically by running the little executable program. And once they both get connected, lo and behold, the helper is helping the victim with a little countdown clock, ticking the time remaining on their dime before they have to disconnect. And that's pretty much the whole story.
When we were having our introductory discussion about what exactly Project Aardvark was going to do, and when we were going over the spec, Yaron's sitting there hunched over like this because he'd cut himself shaving that morning.
It just wouldn't stop bleeding, you know, all the usual tips, you know, newspaper, toilet paper just wasn't working. And then, you know, I see you coming around with your camera and I'm like, I'm gonna be gushing, you know, on this video. So I kind of try to keep, you know, you in the corner of my eye whenever the camera came around. I just like, you know, it's very interesting, you know, just blocking it. But, you know, apparently that's all thwarted now. Thanks, Ben.
Read these by tomorrow. I just got a few random books. We've also got a large collection of books over there in the library, and just about anything you want, and that goes to your own. You got a smaller pile of books because you're the marketing dude. You're not responsible for performance as a non-programmer, so you don't get the stopwatch. But
Wait,
tisk tisk.
performance is everyone's responsibility.
He definitely gets a stop.
To
do what? Time cold calling?
Whatever.
You guys use stuff.
Fine. You get the marketing stopwatch. It's got fewer digits of accuracy. We have a really good interns. We never quite know. When we first start recruiting for interns every season, we always get a huge number of resumes that just don't look like they have any potential at all. A huge number of resumes that you want to keep in the possible pile because they sort of seem like you might be able to make something out of these people, but you just don't know. And then very rarely a resume comes across that just sort of glows, like you try to put the resume down on the desk and it floats in the air because it's so good, or like you go home and you turn off the lights and this resume is actually glowing. Like they're that good.
The big risk a lot of people have with interns is you don't know will they finish. There's a story I heard about creation that somebody had said that actually the first time God created the world, it was the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day, the seventh day, the eighth day, the ninth day, and it became a total mess. So God scrapped the whole thing and started again, and the big thing we learn is that after 6th day, God shipped. Now whether they'll actually be able to get it done in the time allotted, I don't know. They have others there who are experienced who can help them do it, and that depends on how much those people really want to help the interns.
How do you complete it? That's the problem. I mean, you have a very small amount of time. You show up, you get the assignment, and when the time's up, the time's up. And if your code isn't quite there, you know, too bad.
So they're dealing with beta releases and press kits and all these things that I didn't really have to deal with at all. Publicity is way different. Those, you know, they've gone to CF United, and documentaries being made about them, and they've got the Project Aardvark blog, so they're getting a lot more attention than we got. So that's got to be kind of different for them.
I really enjoy publishing and having that many readers. I really enjoy writing, and already we've got 400 people on blog lines who are listed as active subscribers. And if you do the math and you assume that, okay, well, Joel's blog has 10,000 people listed on blog lines and he has around 300,000 active readers. If you assume that the same ratio holds, we've got about 10,000 active readers right now. In the entry in the post, I basically just said that I'd achieved feature completeness on the reflector.
The reflector's feature complete. Ben has finished it, but the complexities will come when we start to integrate that with the VNC client and with the load balancing capabilities of Aardvark. My sister's boyfriend grew tomatoes in his garden out back of his apartment. He's got some terrific tomato plant source that he has to meet in some undisclosed location in the East Village. He gets great seedlings. So these are supposed to do well in low light. That's a Burbank, and this is a Harbinger. It would have been cool to train a webcam on these, and then we could have done like a time lapse or just kept an eye on them, check on the tomatoes. That would have been fun, but I don't know, it's kind of a hassle to set it up, and I don't know. I think you'd actually have to put the webcam outside in order for it to work well, and I think if it was going to be hardy enough to be outside, then it'd have to be a more expensive webcam, so I don't think that would work out.
We had a meeting to talk about what we wanted to name the product. We started with a list of names, and someone, I don't even remember who, threw out the name Copilot, which we really like. And so that's the name we really want to get. The trouble with Copilot is it's an English word, and that means that the domain name is already registered, and we're unlikely to be able to get the domain name unless we bribe the person who owns it.
In the initial email that I talked to him, he wanted $20,000 initial offer. I mean, that's not going to happen for starters. I don't think he expects to get that. I think that he's just lousy at bargaining and throw a really large number.
I like Copilot, but I really have to imagine that we could get a better name than that. That's not going to.
Oh, it's not.
That's not going to cost $20,000. It's better than.
We'll not pay more than $6.
Yeah, we're not paying $20,000.
Well, but whatever they're charging, it just strikes me that it's pretty insane, especially when we don't have any guarantee. And also,
we're really taking a risk. And the way to calculate these things is you say that we spend X dollars. Let's say it's $10,000 for the domain name, times the probability that we get to keep it.
How much are we really willing to spend on this domain name? Before we start negotiating with this guy, we have to know what's our final offer,
Okay, so worst case scenario, the guy says, tough, and we have to pay 20 grand. Are we going to do that? We should decide that now.
No, then you have to say, wait a minute, 20 grand. I came back to you 5,000. You have to give me a lower price.
That's not what I'm asking, though. Fine, negotiation, whatever. We're going to try to get the cheapest. We're going to try to pay the least amount we can for the domain.
Yeah.
The question is, what if none of it works, and you're left with
Sidepod.
Okay, so what's the cutoff point?
Oh,
is it $10,000? Yeah. What's your maximum willingness to pay?
10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
Nothing above that.
10,500.
Okay, guess what? More filming. Except it's me this time.
Did you film our own filming here?
That would be too redundant. What are you doing?
Coming up with a preliminary logo for Side Pilot there.
It doesn't really come across on the video very well.
Yeah.
Side
Pilot.
Side Pilot. Cool. With the swoosh.
With the swoosh thing going through the.
That's cool.
Like you're flying.
And what's that for?
That's so we can throw it up on the website and have something there. And that way, if it needs to look like we have stuff there, it'll look like we have stuff there.
So you can trick the guy into
Yeah,
thinking.
basically.
We're like, we don't need your stinking domain name. We already got one.
If we got Side Pilot, we got Side Pilot.
We're ready to launch.
Exactly.
Right now I'm faxing this contract for the copilot.com domain. Go get it, sign it, fax it back to us, transfer the funds, and then we'll have the name Copilot, which will be sweet because it's much better than SidePilot. So I told him that I could use my entire marketing budget of $5,000 on the domain, just like right now and then without talking to anybody. He came back to me saying that right now the highest bidder with Copilot Live with $99,500, and that he was hoping to get closer to $20,000, but he would sacrifice that for $10,000 if we want to outbid them. And I mean, he might have been lying. He might have been just saying that to, you know, $9,500, you guys give $10,000. But I didn't want to bank on that. I didn't want to be like, I don't believe you, here's $7,000. $10,000 was our maximum budget for a domain. Like, that's as high as we possibly want to go. But the name Copilot is so much better than SidePilot. I mean, it definitely seems like it's worth it.
One of the biggest challenges is working with the existing code that's there. It's not really our code, so first we have to go through and understand it and figure out what the other person's style is and all that stuff. And then getting everything put into that so that it works the way we want it to, and making changes so it still works and all of that.
So I have no idea what the stopwatch is for. Joel gave us each one of these on the first day. And I can't remember what the website said. It was like he mentioned that it was to time things or make things go fast or something like that. But I have not used it yet, so I have no idea. But I'm waiting. Like one day I'm going to use it for something. We'll see.
Michael, in my apartment, we kicked the RAs out, so here's where we are. We've got basically, actually a lot of space for a New York apartment. We've got one bathroom, which is kept in pristine condition by the fact that we basically don't have anything here. The kitchen, which is not too busily furnished. We've got your typical bachelor's dirty pans and pots, and a microwave that's very good at burning things, and slightly rotten bananas, and a fridge that's unfortunately currently totally devoid of alcohol. Here's my room. We've like totally organized this. We all got TVs with built-in DVD players, which was really nice. And then this is supposed to be a double, so it's actually a lot of space for us. So we've got like the TV, computer, like stack of books that Joel gave us, plus a few of my own, and lots of entertainment stuff. And we've got a great view out here of buildings and a huge air conditioning unit. It's a pretty fat apartment.
Come on in, give you a tour. You got your own room in here. Pretty cool setup. He's got the projector up there, full surround sound speakers set up. And he's got the wall blank over here so we can watch movies and all that stuff. In my room, just somewhere for me to sleep. Got my bike there and the computer, and that's all I need. So that's pretty much it. Not the biggest spot in the world, but it does for the summer.
When you look out our back window, there's a little ledge that's about one floor lower, and it really looks like you might be able to jump across, but there is sort of a scary gap before you hit that ledge. And so, yeah, ever since we moved in here, we've been trying to figure out what we would do, literally, if there was a fire and we couldn't get out any of the main staircases.
We've talked about this 3 times, like very seriously, like taking out measuring tape and measuring between the buildings, and whether it's better to jump to the building across that's lower, or to climb up the fire escape and jump over and higher, or to make a net out of Ethernet cables, or to buy buoy things and have them in the supplies area, or to make a net, a slide. Yeah, for some reason the regular fire escape isn't an option. We have to come up with a better solution.
I definitely believe in the jumping method. Like from the very beginning, I'm like, I think I can make that. And like, I don't know, people are saying it was like 20, 25, 30 feet, but like it's nowhere near that far, and we've measured it and it's like 15. So I'm pretty sure you can make that with a good jump. If they were close, I'd just go for it.
But see, would you be in favor? Because I think we should just tie a rope around Tyler, and we'll have him, we'll light his pants on fire to give him the adrenaline rush he needs, and he'll go run, jump out the window, and we'll hold on to the rope. Is that fair?
No, the whole my pants on fire thing is not acceptable. I think I would just be very angry. And you may be the one going out the window in that case.
I never claimed I could make it. I'm quite adamant I cannot make it.
Yeah, that would be the point of putting you out the window.
Ben knows a lot, and he's pretty confident in what he knows. And so he can like kind of a little too assertive sometimes when he like offers his opinions. And like, I don't know, it just, you have to get used to the way he suggests things.
And Tyler was very insistent that the distance was small enough that you could run out the window and jump. And I thought that was complete bull. And we got in an argument, and then basically we finally decided we'll just go outside and actually measure the distance.
There's always a better way to do something and an easier way to do something. And that's what they're always trying to figure out, whether it has to do with computers or like what subway route, there's always like a better way. So it gets very humorous when you talk about in detail, what Star Trooper is going to kick some other superhero's butt and how they're going to do it, or what's the best way to use a lightsaber, which was at this lunch conversation. So yeah, I enjoy laughing with them.
Right here. We went out and measured this. Went out to the street with measuring tape and measured off the distance between. Kind of estimated the height difference because the other ledge is a little lower than our window. And then we laid a measuring tape out on the floor and saw how far we could jump, just from a standstill vertically or horizontally, and took all that, and ran some physics on it to see what our trajectory would be and how far we could get with that added. We think about 10-foot drop, and if you get a good jump, I think you can make it. There was a feeling of satisfaction that my theory was at least plausible and not so insanely out of proportion as the initial feedback had been.
I don't like to rejoice in other people's downfalls, so I try to avoid that. Every once in a while when he's tells me no, this is definitely the way it is, and it turns out he's wrong, it feels a little bit good just to be yeah, I was right. But I don't try and rub it in or anything like that.
The best way to get to the building next door is to wait for the firemen to host you over.
All right, so that was a very useful hour of our time, and I'm going to get back to work.
I can make it. I don't like to just talk about things in theory. Sure, I might be able to jump across and make it to the other side. I want to get down and find out for sure. I want very practical, yes, it's possible, no, it's not. And so sometimes you just got to try things rather than just talking about it.
You end up backwards.
I kind of jumped out the window and flipped around and grabbed back onto it using cartoon physics. I don't know.
There's something in a company this size. It's a level of camaraderie. It's almost like a very extended family. They'll give you feedback and not breathing down your neck at the same time. It's really good. If I'm offered a job, I'll take it here. I would really enjoy working here.
So coming from Indiana, I'm used to, I don't know, I can walk down the sidewalk and have a conversation with somebody without having to dodge people coming the other direction and shout over horns and stuff. And I kind of like that. It's nice. I like to be able to, I don't know, just relax and I don't know, New York, everything seems just a little bit complicated just because there's so much going on all the time, and I don't really want to live with that all the time.
There's a pillow on my face and I cannot see the time. And everybody's woken up, still I cannot feel the vibe. They won't call me back because my resume's a mess. And everybody's found a job and I'm sitting on my fence.
When it was just Joel and I, and that was the entire company, everything had to be done by us. The programming, all the bookkeeping, somebody had to take out the trash. If the toilet broke, somebody had to fix that. There's things that you don't even think about when you're starting a business that somebody's gonna have to handle. But when it's just the two of you, you do.
I do actually miss the ability to sit and write code quietly. It's taken me a while to adjust to the fact that I'm not going to be able to do that, and so there's still lots of bugs assigned to me that will involve several weeks of sitting down writing code, and it's probably not going to happen. I hate to tell you.
There's not something that we're maintaining all of the time. There's not any of our sites where we lose a lot of money if the uptime isn't 100%. If you compare that to Amazon, if the website goes down for a couple of minutes, you've lost a lot of money. So it's more laid back in that sense. Now, that'll change a little bit once we release Aardvark'd, because that will be something that if it's down, that'll be a major thing. So there'll be a lifestyle change at Fog Creek once we release Aardvark'd.
We are expanding pretty aggressively. It's very strange that at the beginning of the summer, we were about 4 people here, or let's say in April or May. Fog Creek was pretty much 4 people every day. Now we're about 12 people every day.
The phone won't stop ringing anymore. Sales have gone, through the roof basically, and I wouldn't say through the roof. I mean, it's been a pretty steady climb, and it's not like we're out of control with it. But but yeah, I mean, just the incoming emails and telephone calls have just increasing a lot, and we just need to keep on sort of hiring more people and stuff.
There's going to be a point where you're going to walk down the hallway and there's going to be someone, they're going to say, "Hi, Ben." "Hi, I don't know you." And it's going to happen, and it's going to start resulting in changing the corporate atmosphere. But I think that happens to every startup company. And I'm very happy that right now that I've had a chance to get in before that happens.
Probably. So this is the initial thing that's ran for their
Oh, that's really cool.
And then when it's connected,
you ran out of stuff and never got to
this. Did you give him that idea for the?
No, I just said I wanted to incorporate it somehow.
That's cool. It's hard to underestimate how much people respond to things that they see very, very quickly and form judgments very, very quickly before they've really studied something in depth. So it's extremely common for somebody to look at a website for a product that might be exactly what they want and decide that it looks amateurish, or that it doesn't look trustworthy in some way, or that it's just offensive in some way or unpleasing, and immediately get a whole negative reaction about that particular product. That's kind of hard to animate, actually.
I think what we'll end up doing is just have like 4 images of this or something that we're cycling through.
Right.
That instead of having a fade here, they're just either blue or green. Would be the easiest way to do that.
And use a timer to make a big difference.
So it just changes to that.
In people's perception. Yeah.
So the text is there and here at the same time.
Nice. You got this cool blue and green screen that was designed by a graphic designer with a little illustration and some blinking and a little progress indicator showing that you were getting connected, and it just looks so much more professional and so much richer, and everybody has a much more positive reaction to that and says, this is a really cool professional thing. This isn't like a little dinky thing.
So what do you got lined up for the weekend? Besides, we're doing a comedy club. Have you been going out a lot at night? Not a whole lot. Saturday I will have gone out every single night this week.
No one in our building ever socializes, so we talked about hosting a party in our room so that we could actually meet some people and get to know some people in the building.
Doing a party on Friday night to meet some people in the building. So I'm making a flyer for it.
Hey, can Laurent come to your party?
Who?
Laurent.
Lauren can come to our party.
You know, a camera guy?
And actually, I want to invite at least one person, so we're down to 4 people that you could bring. But yeah, I think we're still good.
A little later that night, this guy comes up and rings our doorbell. Doesn't really tell us who he is or anything like that. He just comes up and is like, "I need to talk to you guys."
They sit us down And then they say like Benjamin Pollack, you know, Tyler, Griffin, Hicks-Wright, and they give him a sheet of paper. It's a Xerox copy of the handbook with certain phrases underlined and emboldened.
With regard to alcohol, we can't have more than 1 6-pack or a bottle of wine for our entire apartment. And this is usually 4 guys in an apartment, so it's like a beer and a half each, and that's all you get. And that parties aren't allowed, and that we have to follow the 21 and over rules and all kinds of stuff like that. And finally says, okay, this is your warning, you know, just keep it in mind that, you know, we really don't allow that kind of thing, and sent us on our way.
We're getting the world's first demo of Aardvark actually up and running.
All right. So we've got 2 computers here. This is the guy that needs help. He got confused and put his taskbar over here, and he can't figure out how to get it back down here. So he's going to ask me for help. So I'm going to go to the Aardvark website here and type in my name. I'm Michael. I'll accept the terms of service and click go. It gives me an invitation code, which is right here, which I then give to the helper, or the victim, whatever, the guy that needs help. And he enters it. If I can paste. Okay. He accepts, clicks go. Okay.
Cool.
Now.
This is too easy.
That's the idea. Okay, so I'm the helper. I'm going to run this executable. All right.
Let Michael control your computer. Yes.
Woohoo! Crap.
Generic error. That's like
Why
Joel's.
did it only happen when we demoed you?
Didn't I tell you they were on the demo, the end-to-end demo would not work the first time they tried it?
It's big city, but I got my binary code. Comes with me wherever I go. Makes sense of whatever I know.
The main problem in software is that the difference between something that kind of works or works most of the time and a full-fledged product is very big. The fun on most software products is kind of front-loaded, in that writing all this stuff initially is a really great time, and it's just getting all of the details in place that make it a real hassle.
Okay, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and mess up this guy's computer.
What you gotta do is like make it really wide. That's what people always do. Then they're like, oh, my screen is all blue. They're like, what? My screen is half blue. You're gonna help me.
Okay.
Okay.
So this guy needs help. He's like messed up his start menu. So he asks me to help him. I go to this website, Aardvark. I type in my name, click go. It gives me this invitation code, which I give to him. And so he can just go to the same website, enter the invitation code, click go, and now we both have a program to run. So I start mine, and it's waiting for him to connect, so he has to run his. Let Michael control your computer? Yes.
So far we got last time. Oh my god, it's working.
All right, so now I can see his computer from my computer. And I can see that he made his start menu huge, so I can just resize it back down for him, put it on the bottom, like that. And now he's happy because I fixed his computer, and we can disconnect.
Well, this is good enough to demo, I think, except that it would be nice if it were more stable.
Yeah.
And Joel and Michael basically, only want to deal with people who are the best and expect the best out of them, and that's just a high expectation. And if you impress them in an interview enough that they think you're the best, then what if you're not? If I was one of them, I'd be like, well, what if they, what if I'm not? What if I don't live up to their expectations?
Like I said, they're dealing with a lot more. They're dealing with a lot more of the stuff that you have to do to release a full software product. They're dealing with how to do different stages of beta releases and just a ton of things that you have to know to go from start to finish in a software product, which I don't know. I would have picked it up just along with them.
We finally have something that we can demo and show to people. Runs well, doesn't crash in weird places.
We're going to go down to Washington, D.C. to a trade show where we'll have a booth and we'll try to sell Aardvark'd to people, actually.
I'm not really even sure. I don't know what cold fusion is. It's some web programming thing that I guess is kind of a half-real language, according to the hardcore people, and is the best thing ever, according to the cold fusion people.
These are sort of my theories for what it takes to go beyond having a product that's a great product to the level of being the super duper extra cool blue chip thing. Number one, making people happy. Number two, think about emotions. And number three, obsessed over aesthetics. It is no wonder that people think that their computers hate them. This is actually one of those like point counterpoint editorials where there's like one side and then they have the other side debating them. So let me just show you the other side.
We're launching a new service, codenamed Project Aardvark'd, which is designed to make it really easy for people who have friends or coworkers who have computer problems to help them out. One of the pitches that I've been using is, haven't you ever gotten someone who's called you and has like said, don't you need to, could you please help me fix my computer? And everyone's face when I've said this, like, oh yeah, I've had that happen a lot. So I think that this really is the audience that we're going for, at least for the helper side of Aardvark'd.
And ask me, let Benjamin control your computer. And I say yes, and we're connected.
And now I have the ability so I can see immediately what's wrong and I can say, oh, well, this is easy to fix. So I'll just drag this down here. And now the problem's solved.
So as he moves the mouse, it moves on my screen too. We can both control it, so I can move the mouse as well. People seem pretty interested, but it's a little hard to tell because they have the system where you get a stamp for every booth that you see a demo for, pretty much. And if you get a stamp at every single booth, you're entered into a raffle. So a lot of people just, are like, yeah, stamp. Can I have a stamp, But I mean, other people seem genuinely interested. You can tell because they're asking a lot of questions.
The ability to ad hoc help other people, I think could be a real boon. One of the main changes in the software industry is, in the old days, it was a very esoteric thing. Only that either people on Wall Street, if it was big, cared about, or people who were very technical cared about. And the big change has been that regular people care about the software industry now. That they care about it because financially it's huge and because it affects their lives. They actually buy software and use software themselves. That was something we just had no comprehension of way back when. That your mother literally would be buying software and using it. That was something we hoped, but we really didn't think would happen at any time soon.
I found this site that this really paranoid guy was talking about covering like his window with aluminum foil to protect him from the microwaves or something that people were projecting at him through his window. Like he said, it was specifically at him, and so if you put up aluminum foil and ground it, then apparently you're safe. Barely any light gets into my room at all, and so now I can sleep in and not be bothered by the sunlight.
everyone is always very quick to say, oh, well, why did the interns do it this way? What were they thinking? What was going through their head? This is so stupid. This is so trivial.
All of a sudden you have people who really don't know what we're doing, don't know our spec, don't know what we're trying to build, but they're saying, oh, you shouldn't use tight VNC, that stinks. You guys want to use ultra VNC. And this morning the interns all piled into my office and they said, what about this ultra VNC thing? Maybe we should do that. Ultra VNC might have been a better starting point, might not have, but you really can't get swayed by random anonymous people coming in on discussion groups and second guessing technical decisions without actually having been there, having been here.
It's hard. I mean, especially for me, they don't like me very much. At least the vocal ones don't. And I mean, I've always cared too much what people think about me, but I mean, I'm trying to take it with thick skin.
It's a complex situation that they've walked into. You know, you're a young kid, you're a smart kid, you went to a great college, you're doing a great internship, and everything you do is getting publicly scrutinized, for better or for worse.
When I made the poster, I made it from scratch pretty much. You know, it had various flaws I was going to get into. It was too alias, just little things here and there, but things that didn't really show up on print anyways. And like within like 10 minutes, some guy gives like a list of 10 reasons why it sucks, and just like crapping on my Photoshop skills. I mean, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm a marketer. I mean, I'm trying not to let it get to me. You know, laugh it off and just be like, you know, we'll be the one laughing when this thing is selling like hotcakes because it's a fantastic product.
I think they got some pent up, you know, not anger, but, you know, wanting to prove people wrong. But then they just realized that, you know, they're just bitter, older people at work that wish they had a cool internship like they did, like they have when they were younger. I mean, I know I did.
The tomatoes have been doing really well. I had to turn them because the one of the tomatoes, the one closer to the sun, was doing a lot better. This one, the Harbinger, was kind of shading the Burbank, which is over here. I think that's why the Burbank hasn't grown as much, but I don't really know too much about the species, so maybe not. Anyway, but they're both doing great now. We got tomatoes. You can kind of see them under here. So this is like the biggest bunch we've got right now. This guy's, I don't know, about an inch across now. So this one's doing really well. This one isn't quite as big and doesn't have as many tomatoes, but we got a few coming in down here too. So little ones over here. But it looks like we're gonna get yield off of both plants. So that's good. I'm stoked on that. Yeah, it's coming along.
Usability test will involve random strangers wandering into our office, sitting down and being given a task to do while we watch them. The idea there is to identify any problems that people may have with our software because they don't understand things, or because it's not made clear, or because they click cancel instead of reading the actual dialog box. You could put on, if you have like a Windows program, you could display a little message box that says, please click the OK button. Okay, cancel. And 50% of the people would click cancel.
I suspect we're going to find there's a lot of bugs that we didn't know about that people are going to find in a few minutes. I'm also slightly concerned that the entire server is going to come crashing down. When we were demoing at CF United, something went wrong with the database and we couldn't figure out what it was for sure. But I have a hunch that under heavy load, when we've actually got a lot of people using the system, whatever the problem was, it's going to resurface again really fast. So I'm hoping that's not true, but I'm ready for it if it is.
We are helping with the usability testing of Copilot. We make a software product for usability testing, and we have some testers from New York City that need help with software and computers.
How would you rate your experience and proficiency using the internet? Would you say 5 is excellent, 3 is average, 1 is poor? Where would you rank yourself? This type of half? Average?
No, half a 1.
Half a 1?
Yeah, a 1.
Okay, we'll put you as 1.
And you mentioned you typically use your computer for paying bills and making copies. Do you ever use it for playing games or
Music.
Music? Okay.
Download.
Music.
The legal music.
Legal music,
Not
okay.
the illegal. I said
Okay.
the legal music.
Okay, good. Do you ever download software?
Again, you're trying to get me with the music.
No.
No.
No, okay.
No.
Good. Good to know. Do you normally call people for help sometimes when you're using software or a computer?
Of course.
Yes, okay, so same sort of scenario today. You're gonna have a problem and you're going to need some assistance. So we'll have the other person who will be testing with you will play that role.
This top layout part seems kind of, I don't know, just kind of slapped together a little bit. It seems like if I was on the other end, if I was being helped, that'd be kind of weird. I wouldn't want my friend to have to pay and spend his or her time to help me. So.
All right, Danny boy, what's up? Yes, sir. Okay.
Click on the start, you're gonna see like this bluish box open up.
Press on. Ah, wow. Okay, now go. No. What are you doing now?
All right, so this is the internet. Welcome.
Run? Do I want to run or what? Do I want to hide or what do I want to do? I want to do this. You sure? All right. Problem loading. File Creek Copilot. We're having a problem here. The File Creek Copilot service could not write a file needs to disk. This application will now close. Okay. That's not good.
Someone ran it before and it's still on the desktop.
So somebody had run the program on the computer before, and it left a file laying around that prevented it from running again. And so he got an error message when, like, in real, like, normally you wouldn't have run it before. Like, he wouldn't have. So that shouldn't have happened. It's partially our fault for not just clearing off the computer beforehand. It's also partially Ben's fault because, like, it's supposed to delete itself, but there's a bug. And, like, he knows about it and he just hasn't been able to figure it out yet.
My arrow's not responding. Oh, that's you. Wow, cool. All right.
I can help you fix it. If I can see your problem, can't be your co-pilot. Glad I could help you out. Glad I could help you out. I'm glad I could help you out. I'm glad I could help you out.
Yeah, I kind of assumed it would just be, I don't know, a long day of just watching people use it, not really coming up with anything new, probably pointing out the things that we already knew about changing it. It turned out to be really helpful.
Joel called me up and said, basically told me we'd like to offer you a full-time position and we want you to skip grad school and...
He's been doing a great job here and we've been very impressed. We might as well give him a very early offer to give him the chance to spend the rest of the summer deciding whether he's going to go off to graduate school or come work for us full-time.
I don't think I've ever actually met Joel Spolsky. I don't think of him as a rival at all. I suppose I would be bummed if there was something that I was planning to write about and Joel got there first and wrote this great essay about it, and then anything I wrote would seem like it was, some kind of imitation or something.
This is some of the only fiber these guys get.
And so going to work for some giant company is kind of a ripoff. So I think the relationship between hackers and business guys, at least in the beginning, is that you need hackers and you don't need business guys.
And now you add some spices.
So I gave a talk about how to start a startup. And in the process of giving the talk, I told them that they should go and get their initial funding, their seed funding from individual rich people, preferably ones who had gotten their money from doing technology stuff themselves. And then I said, don't come to me. I don't want, all these people bothering me with their startup pitches. And afterwards, I felt kind of guilty. And also afterwards, I had dinner with some of these guys, and I was talking to them, and I thought, you know, these guys probably could start a successful startup, even though they were still college students.
They gave us money to live here for the summer and maybe pay for some servers and things. And we've mostly been spending our time in our room, sitting programming away. But then once a week going over to the Y Combinator offices for dinner and getting advice from people. So after coming off of, you know, something like school where you work on a bunch of different projects, it's weird to sort of have this room where you just sort of have to sit and focus all day on one thing. Personally, being in school, and I think this is, you know, relatively common, you have this experience to this outside world, right? And like, since you've sat down and you've built software that seems useful, you feel like, well, you could be part of that outside world, right? You don't have to be in this sort of fake world of school doing what, you know, some silly assignment that has no real purpose. You could build something that's actually useful. You could go put it up on your website and people could really use it. So I think that's what, you know, like if you can build something real, why spend your life doing stuff that's fake?
Hacker, in the sense of someone who breaks into something, means someone who's kind of clever and a little sneaky and does things he's not really supposed to. And you know, that's actually a pretty good description of a very innovative solution to a problem too. It's sort of clever or sneaky and not really what you're supposed to. So for example, you know, Einstein in relativity saying that, okay, my theory works as long as you discard Euclidean geometry, you know, that's pretty clever and sneaky and not doing what you're supposed to, right? So hackers would say that was a great hack.
Paul is his very own, in one person, he is his own good cop and his own bad cop. And there's this amazing dichotomy between the Paul Graham that we often get emails from and the Paul Graham we know in person.
Don't be fooled, actually. There's this custom among programmers of being nice, right? Just like there's this custom among Wall Street people of seeming like a dick. And presumably there are some Wall Street people who underneath are kind of warm and fuzzy, and they think if they don't act like a dick, no one will take them seriously. Well, in the programming world, the custom is that you're supposed to be kind of benevolent.
Paul and Joel, they're, I would argue that they're both popular, at least partly because they both kind of give a community, there's like this community of, you know, programmers and hackers, and they both give them kind of the same voice, and that they kind of glorify programming. And so of course, every programmer who thinks he's any good identifies with what Paul and Joel are writing. I myself went to a private school that was very small, and so while I was a nerd, I wasn't unpopular. I had this horrible dream that our site was hacked. I did sleep with my laptop for a while so I could check it. I would wake up every 2 hours and have to stumble out here to make sure our site was up. So I finally just took my laptop into my room with me. But now we have these little cell phones that can do the same thing. So I can at least ease my fear that the site's up while I sleep.
It seems like the hardest part about starting a company is the actual starting. It's not so much, can we develop this idea? It's, can I quit my job? Do I have enough money to pay my rent and really get started working on this? You don't need much money these days, especially if it's in a web-based company or some sort of software company. You just need enough to pay the rent, and then once you have a product, then will get the interest of a lot of investors.
You're never done. A product is never everything it could be to every possible user. I mean, there were all sorts of features I wanted to put in VisiCalc, but we figured out how to get it out the door. We had to ship. And we had to say enough's enough, this is what fits in memory, and this is what we're going to do. It could have had a whole lot more things. We knew to do those things. But it was more important to people to get it out the door so they could use it. It isn't until you have a real working prototype that you can sort of push it and poke it and say, well, what I really wanted was this. It's kind of like, you know, instant messaging was an important thing. It's different than email. It's different than telephone. There's different capabilities we're expecting out of communication and computers, and this is an attempt to do a particular one a particular way, and we'll see whether it's the right one.
And at the end of this week, we're going to call it Code Complete, which is basically the code is done. The only thing that we'll open it up and make changes for is if we find bugs that really need to be changed.
This is readline plus OCH, which is going to be... Okay.
What's the address?
We just ran into some weird bug that was only happening in the release builds. Never happened before, nothing had changed that we could tell. And there's just nowhere to find it. An uninitialized variable that caused it. I'm not pointing fingers, but thumb to point thumbs.
Look, no developer likes to have a bug show up in their code. It's a hurt to the ego because every developer that I know works as hard as he can to make sure that his code is free of bugs. So whenever someone finds one, you're going to first be a little bit sad or annoyed that you missed it, and that's just part of the way of life. One of the things I can be proud of, even though fingers may be pointing my direction, is the reflector has overall been unchanged architecturally since it was initially brought into production on my 3rd day here. I'm not worrying.
There you are.
That is weird.
That said, if there was something that was going to go wrong in a connection sequence and it wasn't SSL related, it's going to be my code. You always get into this thing where you don't think a problem can possibly be in your code, but you both think that. And it's not even an issue of ego, it's just you can't figure out how the problem that you're discussing could be your fault because you never saw that scenario and you don't understand how it could happen. And you end up getting into these arguments that are really stupid about who's responsible instead of actually fixing the bug.
Streets are made out of silicone chips, and he rides along on a keyboard. His face is made out of random memory, and he holds a mouse like a lasso. Digital cowboy, where you gonna go? Digital cowboy, say it ain't so.
So I warned the interns when they first got here that, if people said things about them that were mean or spiteful or hurtful, to just ignore it, because Joel more so than me because he's got the public presence out there, but both of us have been taking, jabs since the company started.
There's a whole post called the Anti-Aardvark Haven. This one's all dedicated to why there's no interest in Project Aardvark and why it's not going to work and why it's just a PR stunt and how it can't make a good movie of people whose job it is to sit at a computer. Yet they sit at a computer all day and give free publicity about Aardvark.
And there will always be second guessers out there who, either anonymously or even not anonymously, are happy to come up with their idea of how we could have done it better. That doesn't take into account something that we actually have to take into account, but which we didn't talk about because it's boring. So, don't crack up. But,
The sun travels an orange spectacle across my bathroom and into my eyes. There's water residing there that falls on my face, and I am crying for one simple thing.
Cool. Pressure's killing me here.
Who did that?
There's a smoke ring. It's this one here.
You never came home. You never came home last night. I cried my eyes out, 'cause you never came home. Never came home. And all I did was wait. Sophisticated geek is who you wanna be. Gonna teach your laptop to say I love you in Japanese. Please.
So, here's to a great summer in New York.
Sophisticated geek. Sophisticated geek. Sophisticated geek. Sophisticated geek. Sophisticated geek.
I'm wearing a hat today because it's my birthday. I went to buy my own hat, and all the hats say happy birthday to you. But it's not happy birthday to you, it's happy birthday to me. So I had to pick a hat that had no words on it. Last night we all went to see the play, Glenn Ross, and it was... and it was fabulous.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am counting down the end of the world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am counting down the end of the world. This is Y3K. It's gonna happen any day. Oh, this is Y3K. Oh, it's gonna happen any day. That's what they tell us all. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am counting down the time.
Nice. You didn't actually jump over.
Thanks to your satisfaction.
Oh, bro, it's so good. Yay!
Hey, tomatoes.
I have seen hatred. And if the end is so near, then why don't we all share the love that we got? And if the end is so near, then why don't we all share the love that we got?
Yaron got all of these graphics designers to make these really nice changes to our application to make it look very pretty and very soft for users who, much more soft and user-friendly than what we currently had. The problem was I had to implement it all by today. So yesterday I ended up staying really late in the sense that I got in at 9:30 in the morning and went home at 11:15 at night.
I'm like, okay, I'm going out from that, I have my bag all packed, I want to go to the bathroom before I go.
It suddenly emits this blood-curdling shriek.
I open the bathroom door and I see a cockroach the size of a poodle. And these other 2 cockroaches come like swarming out. And they're huge, I mean, they're ginormous, and they're flailing around, and I just scream.
I'm standing pretty far away from the bathroom, but Yaron decides that I should be the one to squish it on the ground so I'm closest.
I'm not getting near them because I'm not afraid of killing one, I'm afraid of the other ones, seeing me kill that one and just swarm, you know? Who knows how many there are. So yeah, Ben grabbed the magazine and started beating it. This thing was just, you know, dinosaur age type stuff.
Owned! I have no idea why they showed up. I think they just wanted to be part of the usability testing. Everybody needs help using their computer, especially cockroaches, since they probably can't really press the keys and stuff. So I think I think Copilot is for everybody, including cockroaches.
In the recent issue of Make, they do like, they talk about this dude that makes he puts these giant cockroaches. They're like these hissing cockroaches. They're ones from like the forest.
Sorry, what?
They're hissing cockroaches because they're like the largest cockroach. They're like this big.
Wow.
Right?
Sweet.
So he takes them and then he like grafts this thing onto their like optical nerve or something, you know, turns them basically into little cyborg cockroaches, and then puts them on a big wheel robot thing. Like they can control this giant thing, like it's like the size of a person, but it's just little cockroaches driving it. And so as it...
The driving force is usually a combination of the desire to get rich, the desire for power, and the desire to sort of make something. Those are the 3 big driving forces, and they kind of overlap. For example, the reason hackers want to get rich is not so that they can buy luxury items. It's because they want freedom, And what they want freedom to do is often to hack things where they don't have to worry about money.
So as the cockroach walks, the entire contraption moves forward, right? And as the cockroach turns, the contraption turns. And so he's driving this big thing. But and then if there's a wall, there's like sensors on the vehicle that detect when there's walls, and then he flashes light into the cockroach's eyes, which I guess tricks it into thinking that it's really close to a wall. So like this little thing will like drive around the room and like bump into walls.
So weird. Cockroach mobile.
Yeah.
So the tomatoes, the tomato plants have got some kind of problem. You can see some of the leaves are getting these kind of purple dots on them, and the whole plant is just kind of more yellowish and less green than it was. They've been watered really well. Maybe they get a little dry towards the end of the weekend. So I think it's some kind of tomato sickness that they have somehow contracted up here, even on the 18th floor. But in the meantime, the end of the tomato crop is looking pretty good on both plants. Gonna pick some today, and I think probably been pretty stingy with them so far this year. Kind of had plans for the ones that we've picked up to this point, but these I may just kind of offer around the office and see if anybody wants some.
This is the tomato song. Hey buddy, won't you sing along? They come right off the vine, and they are looking mighty fine. And we go doo-doo-da-da, doo-doo-da-da. And we go doo-doo-da-da, doo-doo-da-da. Join in if you want, come on. Doo-doo-da-da, doo-doo-da-da. This is the tomato song. Hey Bobby, come on, won't you sing along with me? We put them in a bag, and aren't you very glad that we are singing the tomato song? We're singing the tomato song, and it goes doo-doo-da-da, doo-doo-da-da. And we go doo-doo-da-da, doo-doo-da-da. One more time, doo-doo-da-da, doo-doo-da-da.
The guys are really cool. I got along really well with Tyler, especially because we live together. He already has moved out of the apartment, of the dorm, and moved into his apartment. And it's weird, his room is all completely empty and put back the way it used to be. And we keep to ourselves for the most part. We're in our rooms, and I'm off doing my thing, he's off doing his thing. But you bump into each other a lot in the kitchen, walking around, stopping, watching TV, and it just feels really empty there now. So I'm definitely gonna miss that.
Even though, obviously, on any given project, when you reach 1.0, you've got a lot of work still to do. It is a kind of a finishing point. It means that you've gotten it done well enough and completely enough that regular end users are ready to give it a try.
It's just one of those things, where it's not going to be, instantly adopted by a whole bunch of people. I don't think it'll be. I think the Joel and software readers will use it, and and that it'll slowly spread. But I don't expect some sort of instant huge adoption. No.
I've never had software go out and actually be sold, so it's really nice. Made a little pool on when our first purchase would be, how long it would take.
What's Doug saying? Oh, fourth wall, sorry. Let's not go there.
It's not like there's a swarm of people waiting outside your door to hand over their cash because they've been waiting for this product their whole life. It takes some time for people to find out about the product. It takes some time for them to actually need the product. So of all the people that even know about Copilot as we speak, there's only some small percentage of them that could use it, that have a need for it.
One of the most surprising things that I've learned is that a lot of these tech startup founders who are extremely successful, back when they were getting started, they were terrified and they were very unsure of what they were doing. And They questioned things and I'm sure doubted themselves or doubted what they were doing might work. And so to see these people as vulnerable people at one point in time is interesting to me.
Oh, it's there.
First order is really vindication because it means that someone valued our product enough to actually buy it. And although this may sound really corny, whether you're making something with your hands or on a computer, the first time that someone buys something is their way of, your kind of validation that the work you've done is high enough quality, someone values it, someone can make use of it.
It was just really exciting to, like, after all the work we've done and all the like time we've put into this and all the late nights and everything, to finally be to the point where we just can just say like we're done and like.
If I could see your problems, bet I could help you fix it up, but I cannot see your problems and I cannot be your co-pilot today. But they invented something great.
Oh, I do have a 1.0.
They created something.
Yeah, okay, it's live. We need to, I don't know, dance or something? Champagne.
See your problems clear. I can be your co-pilot now.
Well, congratulations. It's great. Cheers, etc. I haven't prepared a speech, so to co-pilot.
Cheers.
It's a little bit sad when you realize you've put in all of your heart and soul and figuring all of this stuff out and trying to get it all working really well, and now you won't have a chance to see it through because there's just so many little things still that I know I could do better. I wish I could go back and redo and improve. So many features and tiny components that I'm not going to have a chance right now to actually get done, either because someone else is going to complete them or I just won't have time before I go home for the summer. It's a little bit sad. It's a little bit like abandoning a child right when he's starting to grow up.
Copilot.com, actually, we just rolled it out now, so it's completely live. The product is out there. Yeah, it's Fall Creek will keep it going once we're going, and Tyler, who is working full-time, will stay on the project as well. The way I described it to my friends when they said, you know, are you ready to come home? I always said I could use another month here and another month at home before school starts.
So soon money will be pouring in.
Like Monday, there'll be an article in the New York section of Cranes.
Cool.
That's all.
New York section of Cranes.
New York.
The New York section of Cranes. Which article is that?
That's the one on tech internships. Cool. It's very frustrating knowing that I won't be around here to continue where I left off. Because when I started the website and I wrote all the copy, I want to see where it goes. I don't want to just hear about it, you know, maybe an email as to what it's doing.
I'm gonna miss like just having like a project to work on that I'm totally into and excited about. Like school is great, but sometimes you just don't quite have the same motivation and like aren't quite into things as much. And I've really enjoyed having Copilot to like be my motivation for working on stuff this summer.
The thing I'm going to miss most about the interns here, I think, is our overall sense of camaraderie. I like the fact that we all live together and work together, and it's kind of nice that we all know each other both at work and at home.
It's fun all being in the same space there, so if we get bored with work at all, we can always just bug somebody else. So I'll miss that a lot, and just having that peer group, people to go hang out with.
We hire these incredible interns. We hire people who are, really, really brilliant individually and do incredible work. But that's sort of what we expect of them. So I don't really feel like it's necessary to puff up their ego too much by saying, wow, you did an unbelievable great thing. Nobody else could have done this. What I really want to say is that's what we expected.
We're the guys you kicked in high school, and now we sell computers. It sucks, but we're cool, and we sold your wife computers. We're warriors in a digital realm, and we will save the world with just ourselves. Oh, we're warriors in a digital realm, and we will save the world with just ourselves. We are marching forward, better versions of ourselves. We're moving to the future, and we will bring humanity forth. We are warriors in a digital realm. Oh, we are warriors in a digital realm, and we will save the world with just ourselves, and we will save the world with just ourselves. Oh, if you wanna roll to Silicon Valley, baby, why don't you ride on my mind? Oh, if you wanna get to Silicon Valley, baby, why don't you ride on my mind? Why don't you ride on my mind? Why don't you ride on my mind?